Welcome to a belated version of the Collingwood Rant. I'm Sly.
And I'm sitting in a car, Spook.
Yep, sorry this one's a bit late, but Spook is in prison. Camp, sorry. So you've gone camping, Spook? Try to get away from Collingwood for a little while? Sorry?
I said to Google Maps, can you tell me somewhere I can go where Collingwood doesn't exist? So here I am in Siberia.
So we lost to Saints in a typically Collingwood performance. Three quarters of drivel and 1 quarter of dynamic football.
We don't normally lose to St Kilda, though, do we?
No, not really. Tell me,
what's gone wrong?
Should we condemn Robert Harvey for failing to turn around in a fortnight a game plan that Buckley hammered into him for 10 years?
Apparently we should, because I think turning off the stuff that they've had drilled into him is just like flicking off a bathroom light switch.
I still think they're trying to actually play on a little bit more quickly and all that. I mean, statistically, it's probably come to the same thing, but a lot of the players still look gun shy, like they're being over drilled with information, and rather than play on instinct and audacity, it's constantly in their head, oh, we've got to set this up, and they're going sideways and all that. And the only time they override that is when there's just nothing left to lose. And that was pretty common under Buckley. I don't know how Harvey is addressing him, but, you know, you'd imagine he'd want to get away from that model.
I've heard he's addressing the team just wearing a cutout mask of Bucks.
Well, I guess that would have about as much personality. What do we expect from Collingwood? Because, I mean, I'm reading message boards and all that, and this is all apparently the president's fault. He's out there getting a kick and all that. What do we actually expect from Collingwood, given that when Buckley resigned, he had 3 wins, and it was just a terrible season of performances. And I don't know, it just surprises me a little that when I read message boards, there's all these people going, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with this club? And it's like, where were you for the first 3 months of the year?
This is why you have to sack the board.
What's the expectation?
I really didn't have any. I think it was just, it was going to be more curiosity about what if Harvey was going to really shake anything up. I expected to just continue to blood kids to get them prepped for the time that we start getting good again. I didn't really expect to win too many of any games. I would like to win games simply just to improve our position that for our pick that we're going to give away. I'd like that to be reduced as much as possible away from that number one. Other than that, really nothing. I mean, I don't watch these games getting upset or anything like that because, I mean, really the bar was set so low. So,
well, in regards to the Harvey, again, he's gone to the Cox-Cameron partnership up forward, which Buckley abandoned very, very early in the preseason. Yep. Callum Brown has been regularly a whipping boy for being given games when his form has struggled, and now he's in the reserves. So, I mean, there are a few things that Harvey's obviously done. I understand with training, he's focusing on tackling and some actual real tackling rather than what we pass for as tackling. So I just surprised a little bit to people. I don't know what people expect. I think everyone, once Buckley was gone, they thought, well, now we're back to being a premiership contender and we should just rise up the ladder and win 9 games in a row and there should not be a single issue. And when we've continued to poor form, it's like, oh, who expected a team that was playing poorly for all the year to still be playing poorly?
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? I think, you've got all that great examples of sides that have sacked coaches and caretakers that just come in and won every game for the rest of the season, like Teague did at Carlton. I mean, you can do miracles. Why aren't we doing miracles?
Well, I mean, really, we're probably better off not doing miracles because that just might muddy waters or something like that.
No, that's exactly right.
In relation to coaching, because the coaches has been the big talk. So Sam Mitchell pulled out of the race. Do you see that as a loss, him as a prospect?
I think the fact that we obviously spoke to him and that triggered some movement on Hawthorn's part. They've gone into a succession plan. We know how well those tend to end
Well,
up
Jason
working.
Dunstall's come out and lambasted it. I actually think Dunstall is up there with Lee Matthews as someone who just cuts through bullshit and just calls things for what they are. And he's the one media commentator who's really come out and just going, yeah, no, this is not a good idea.
I've always viewed the opportunity here that the opportunity was you could get both, one or the other. I mean, like, so if you were to pursue Mitchell and Hawthorn clearly want him, I think that was always evident, then they would move to retain him, and that would then make Clarkson available, which is what's panned out. The flip would be if they were keen to keep Clarkson, they may have looked at happily seeing Mitchell go if Mitchell accepted whatever offer was on the table and that was good for him. So it was like a win-win either way. If you wanted those two, they were your main targets, you had a really good way of possibly getting them. I would imagine that they'll, now that Clarkson's available, I think Kennett's come out today and said that he wouldn't stop anyone getting in the way if they wanted to take him next year or something along those lines, which really opens the door, I think, to both us and probably Carlton.
Will Clarkson get rid of Teague? So that's an interesting thing. Will Carlton actually get rid of Teague? They're conducting a review. They've repeatedly said, he's safe. But, going back to Mitchell, I'm actually glad he signed at Hawthorn. He might be a great coach. I know nothing about him other than what I'm seeing from the outside looking in. And to me, he's just got too much Buckley about him. He's been at the same club for pretty much his entire playing and coaching career outside of a couple of years at West Coast. Hasn't really experienced much different in terms of cultures and all that. And I just think, geez, I would rather have someone who's done a fair bit of different stuff, been at a lot of different clubs, done a lot of different roles, and can come in with diverse experience behind him. Like, you look at the coaches that are getting appointed now, Chris Fagan, exactly like that, and John Noble at North, they went through a similar type. So that's what I'd prefer. So I'm glad we didn't get Mitchell. Clarkson, if he's still got the fire in the belly, I would absolutely love to get him. He's obviously a good tactician. He's got that mongrel about him. He's hard, good match day coach. So as long as he still has the vigor to be a senior coach, would love to get him. And, now that Hawthorn has, who knows how Clarkson feels in all this, and Hawthorn's selling the message that obviously it's a joint decision, but Collingwood sold that same message between Malthouse and Buckley. So
how did that turn out?
Yeah, you got to think Clarkson might be just sitting there and going, well, you've asked me for this guy. Well, if you don't want me, I'll go elsewhere. So surely he would now be gettable if you threw enough money at him. It's just a case of what does he want with the rest of his coaching career? Does he see himself as a career coach like Malthouse, who just would have coached forever?
I think, look, if I was him, there's appeal on both camps. If obviously the best suitors going around was us and the Blues, there's possibilities in both to come into another name club and work some magic. So I think, there'd be no issue, I think, with him wanting to coach onwards. He's at the top of his game, more or less. Look, he's had a couple of down years with Hawthorn. They probably don't think that they're at a level that they expected to be at. They started their rebuild and it sort of plateaued. There's good players at both Carlton and Collingwood that I think would appeal to him. So it'll come down to may the best club win.
Who do you think is the more attractive proposition from a list profile?
Does the Blues have a good spine?
Yeah,
they have a lot of injuries.
Curno's entering that danger territory now. He's been out so long, you just don't know what sort of player might come back. Harry McKay is a good player. So, and Sam Walsh is a gun midfielder already. So they have a decent core there. I've seen talk about us, how bad our list is. The one thing I think that really shows with our list and has shown is they can play good football. It's just a case of getting the right system in there.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think the way they've been asked to play for the last 2.5 years is really depreciating variability.
Yeah. I guess externally, the concern for me, thinking about it just now, is that if he ended up going to Carlton, it really makes us look bad in terms of a destination. It's obviously, we're not being viewed externally as something good.
Well, how much do you think that the board uncertainty weighs into that?
I don't know. Look, I think that's an easy narrative for the public to consume and spit out. I don't think internally, if you were a senior coach, that what the board currently was going through would bother you. The expectation would be that that's either resolved one way or another by the end of the year, and something comes into effect to replace it, and then it should be just business as usual as far as a coach would be concerned. I don't think they tend to go and report to the board every week or anything like that. So really, it shouldn't stop you from getting on with the job.
If Clarkson's the man, let's say he says, yes, I want to coach for 10 more years, so I want to be a career coach. Should Collingwood just say, fuck it, go to Kennett tomorrow and say, we'll buy out the rest of his contract. You can put Mitchell in for the last 6 weeks, or whatever.
Well, I think Dunstall flagged that I think there's probably more of a need for clean air, that handover stuff for a year really doesn't work. I think but if our handover that year that Buckley, I think, polished some cones, that's about all he did. So I don't know. I think, I think you got that in the back of what Kenneth said, that he's no one's going to stop him if something happens. I think the writing's pretty clear that they'll take a risk with Mitchell next year.
But should we just should they go do it right now? Like,
Oh yeah, I'm on the phone. As soon as we finish this, I'm giving Clarkson a ring. Because you know how much weight the Rant carries. It's got pull. I'm just going to put in a good word for the club.
So how do you feel the football public would react if Carlton got Clarkson and we got someone with a very low profile, like an Adam Kingsley or someone like that?
It would be seen as a big miss, or a cock up, or a fuck up, or whatever you want to call it. It'd be hard to spin a positive out of that.
Well,
there's no one else of the ilk available of Clarkson, so he's the prime get.
Well, the other person who's allegedly come into calculations is Mark Williams, and that's gaining traction. Our understanding is the club have not spoken to him at all. And yesterday, or the day before, when he first entered the news, I saw a snippet on Footy Classified where it said, he's entered the calculations. I was like, well, this is interesting. So I watched it. And it was Caroline Wilson saying, yes, he's entered calculations. And I'm thinking, okay, this is fascinating. Where's this going to go? She prattled on for a couple of minutes. And then at the end of it, she said, I just want to make clear the club hasn't spoken to him and he's a name on a pretty big list. It's like, okay, when you dissect that information, that means you just made all that up. He's entered calculations. Why? Because he's on a name on a list that's 25 people long, or however long it is. So what you really done is extrapolated this whole bullshit about him, which actually doesn't exist. So, and that's the same thing with Don Pike. I mean, Don Pike previously was like, well, now he's up there in Collingwood's calculations. It's like, I think there's about 50 people who's probably Collingwood are considering at this time.
Yeah, I heard Checker Hughes is one of them as well. I mean, he's coming into calculations.
I just think it's
in a shovel. I think they're not leaving anything. No stone's going to be unturned.
I just think it's totally irresponsible journalism. But I mean, why are we surprised? You constantly see, I think Sam McClure had a cliffhanger on Twitter the other day, like, stay tuned for more. It's like, what the fuck is this? Dallas in the 1980s. Just tell me what you know. And if you don't know anything, shut up until you do know something. But apparently we have to say stay tuned.
He finishes most of his tweets now with to be continued and has that dun, dun, dun music play.
That's what I told my wife. Should Clarkson go through the process of, the interview? Should he just be given the keys to the club?
No, I think he should present and go through the same process. Now, Collingwood's flagged. What have they got? 5 or 6 people on that review panel?
They got 5 people, yep. Luke Ball was the latest one to join.
If you've gone to all the effort to put some criteria together for who you're looking for, what you intend to put them through in terms of, I would guess, being interviewing and presenting, obviously you do the basic things about, here's our list, what would you do with it? What do you see as the problems? What would you do moving forward as solutions? even though he's the best coach going around at the moment, I'd still want to put him through that level. And that gives you, a little bit of a benchmark, I guess, to work with as well. You may talk to someone else and they completely blow you away. Now, you'd probably still lean towards Clarkson no matter what, but I wouldn't make any special exceptions for him. I'd stick him through the same process. And if you build a process that you think is robust, it'd be a good test for a person like that to come in and engage it and respond accordingly and see what the outcomes are.
Where do you feel the list is at? Like, what would you expect next year if, and I know this is a pretty humorous if, but like if they had a good run with injuries?
Oh, look, a good run with injuries I could see as finishing in the bottom 8, which I think it'd be...
You mean of the bottom of the 8?
The top 8, yeah. So 6 to 8. I mean, realistically, they're probably a 6 to 14 side. But you'd really need a clean run with injuries, and you'd need to completely throw out the game plan that we keep reverting back to and commence anew. Now, obviously, whoever takes the reins has the whole preseason to beat that out of them, and I'd be using middle bars, whatever it takes, and then start defining something new and executing it. But even with that, you're going to have to be patient. Old habits die hard. These players have been drilled for years to play a particular way. It's going to take a fair bit to break. And the good thing I think would imagine someone with Clarkson doing that though is you'd probably have the fear of living Christ put into you, that you'd probably think twice rather than cock something up. So that may accelerate it as well. That when you've got a little bit of a presence type coach hanging around who makes you a little bit fearful of repercussions.
I think the other thing is
someone like Mick used to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think you want a coach, though, who also sort of gives them a license to go for it. And if you make an error, you make an error. Oh, yeah. But as long as you're trying to create rather than, the thing that frustrates me, and that's frustrated me under Buckley, is the amount of times they lose the ball just sort of chipping it around. It's like, well, why don't you just take the game on and lose it rather than try and control it and lose it? And I go back to that 218 grand final. I fully believe if you take all the, if you don't sort of assign the loss to a single incident like the block or whatever, the reason they lost it is because they just started playing way too safe. And the only guys who really took the game on were Adams, DeGoey, and to an extent Cox. Whereas the rest were just chipping around. I keep thinking about that mark Chris took on the wing in the last 5 minutes, and he turned around and kicked the 50 metres backwards to Langdon. It's like it was just such a defensive mindset.
Yeah, and you're right. That mindset needs to be well and truly snapped into and rebuild.
I mean, the guy I've probably been a little bit impressed with the last month, even though he missed one of the games, is Jordan DeGoey. He's not playing flashy games, but he's actually playing some pretty solid midfield time, which is great.
Yeah.
But then you have a few others like Sidebottom has totally fallen away. Typically, Josh Dacos broke his finger, and that's pretty much it for him this season, you'd imagine, if he's going to be out 6 weeks.
Oh, he'll end up with gangrene or something. It won't be a simple put a couple of paddle pop sticks around it with some sticky tape type fix. You'll need open heart surgery or something.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, the political landscape, it's still pretty static, but we have an interview with Jeff Brown. I got him on the line. And we want to talk. We want to talk about where
Is it a coup?
Oh, it's a coup.
No, a scoop. What do we call it? A scoop?
A scoop. Yeah. So, Jeff, where do you see Collingwood going next year?
Jeff, can you just speak up a little bit, please? I didn't catch that.
That's fascinating, Jeff. That's amazing.
Can we just pause something here, Sly? Can I have a quiet word with you? Jeff, can you just mute yourself? Is there something wrong with him?
I don't know.
Did he say anything before when he agreed to this that there was an issue with his mouth?
No, I don't think there's an issue in that regard.
All right, put him back on. Put him back on. I want to hear more.
How do you feel about the current board, Jeff?
I can't argue with what he's saying, to be honest.
No, it's flawless. It's flawless. And where do you want to take Collingwood, Jeff? Jeff, where do you want to take Collingwood in the future?
Oh, okay.
Well, we have not been there before. Well, so that's encouraging. That's a new vision for the club. Jeff, thank you for joining us on the Collingwood Rant.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for your time.
He just can't put a foot wrong, Jeff.
No. He says a lot without really saying anything, doesn't he?
I got a lot out of that, and I'm sure a lot of other people will go into an EGM thinking that's what I want for the club.
Oh no, I think that's perfect.
In Collingwood, no one can hear you scream. Playing Richmond this week at the.
We should have asked for Jeff's tip.
I think he would have surely tipped us.
Get him back on the phone.
It's impossible. He's unreachable.
It's got the voicemail. Yeah, that's it. I think you just played it back.
4:10 Sunday. What a time slot.
Oh, it's a great time slot. Has Jeff complained about that yet?
I actually find it funny that people are complaining about the time slots. Like, we are shit, you realise, at the moment, and you are playing. Yeah, but you are playing the reigning premier. So if this is an insult to Collingwood, what's it to Richmond? They have won 3 of the last 4 flags, and everyone's going, "Oh my god, damn you, Collingwood! 4:10 on a Sunday. What the?"
Collingwood's dragging them down to their level.
Richmond should be thankful. You'd have obviously Josh Dacos out, and that's pretty much it. Everyone again played well in the VFL. Richmond are really struggling. They were embarrassed last week by Gold Coast Suns. Not in terms of the margin, but just to lose the Gold Coast Suns in that way, we don't look so bad suddenly. What's your expectation for this game?
We'll play Richmond back into form.
Well, what's his name? Tom Lynch. He was actually pretty good against Gold Coast.
Yeah, he kicked 5, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Roughhead looks like he's struggling there without Moore doing the chop out. Defense in general struggled. I know he gets a lot of criticism, but I thought Magnus was probably one of our better players last week.
That says a lot.
Yep. Forward line with Cox.
So it might be time to get Keane back into sort things out. Do you think?
I actually think look, we're not playing to win. Obviously if we win, it's great, but we're not playing for a final spot or anything. I would seriously, for the last 7-8 weeks, I'd play Myercheck down back. And I would say, look, I want you to be the general down here, because the one thing I think that back 6 is lacking is a voice. I don't know, when you had back, in the years that were good, you had guys like Heath Shaw and Nick Maxwell barking orders, telling people where to run. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from now. I mean, you can't put it on Quaynor. He's still pretty young and inexperienced. Chris should probably be the one, or Maynard, but they don't seem overly vocal. So
Magnum was calling the shots last week.
Yeah, when you told the umpire, it was a sick joke.
He didn't execute too many of them himself, but he was calling them.
I have heard prospectively that Myercheck is considered the leader down there, so I think throw him down back. Try and play that Cox Cameron forward line. Put a few smalls around them. Not that we have many left. After McCreary tore his hamstring from the bone. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's out for the rest of the season.
He's out. Ash Johnson, who was not a small, but he broke his finger. But I just think change it up a bit, because what are we doing? Myercheck struggled last week anyway for 3 quarters. He had a good last quarter when we finally got moving. But the thing that I really noticed in that game against St Kilda is that back 6 just lacks any direction. I don't know who's meant to be the general there. I don't know who's directing traffic. And I think now that Moore's gone, they don't know who's doing what exactly. Like, you're the stay-at-home defender, I'm the one who runs back out and all that sort of stuff. Roughhead was actually playing pretty well when Moore was there. Now that Moore's been gone, Roughhead's really struggled. And I think it's because he's trying to, he's being spread way too thin. So I think throw Myercheck back there as a potential defensive tool.
And a vocal presence.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Will Kelly, I don't know if these guys are rated in the VFL, but Will Kelly's somebody I'd consider bringing up, because you want him to have more of a taste of football. You'd also like to see him play a game without getting injured. Just break
He's
that.
Been playing up forward again. in the VFL, hasn't he?
Just play him on the wing.
Those days are over.
Oliver Henry had a good game last week, so give him another taste of it. I mean, it's probably
what
against
what about Ginnivan Beginnigan?
Yeah, I don't know how he's doing.
4?
Did he kick 4? Bring him in.
Kick 4, yeah, maybe. Yep, why not? Give him all a crack. Bring all 40 of them in. Let's have an extended bench going a kilometre.
Well,
and they all get to go on the wing for 10 minutes.
I think they just need to change it up a little bit, because it's like, look, we know what these guys can do in the positions they play. And we know if you get your system right that, you're a much better team. But let's actually try a few different things now and see how we can evolve. I mean, one of the things I want to see, there was a contest that Josh Dacos went to last week where he just got flattened. And I thought that was indicative of the fact that we have too many small mids. So I'd like him to see him, throw a few big bodies in the midfield who aren't just going to get dragged down. I mean, I'm not one of the...
You mean like Sly?
If he's playing well, but I said it a few weeks ago, I'd be telling Sly, look, mate, we're probably going to delist you in 7 weeks. What are you going to do to make us stop that? Surely that's pretty evident now that's going to happen. Well, apparently he was pretty good but ran out of puff. But in terms of, who do you want to be? Where do you want to be this time next year? Do you want to be, playing some suburban league, or do you want to be playing for Collingwood? Which one do you want? Or do you want to be painting your fingernails black on Instagram? What do you want? I think he's going to be doing that regardless. Just mix it up a little bit. Let's see if we can get a bit of drive. Even someone like Grundy. Just say, we're going to play you up forward for 70%. We know. Put him on the wing. Fuck, why not right now? Bring Max Lynch back in. Screw it. Put him on the wing too. But just see what they have for the future. In turn, let's not be so one-dimensional. Because I mean, the reality is, if a new coach comes in, he's probably going to change a few things up. So let's get a good insight into what we have, rather than just going with what we've always known. What's your tip? 80 points? 80 points to the Tigers, yeah. That sounds about right. Really? Oh, no. So... hang on. No. 81. Let me ask you something just before we get into the tips in earnest. What do you think changes in Collingwood's mentality if it allows them to go from 3/4 of shit to 1/4 of good football? I couldn't even begin to guess what changes up there. I mean, they were down, about 45 points or something? Goals, yeah. Yeah. So you look at that and you think, well, wouldn't you just throw your hands up and say, fuck it? But they didn't. Now, I guess, some of that is probably, probably caught St Kilda off guard. They probably thought they'd have enough of a buffer and they put the queue in the rack. But, at any point, the way St Kilda had played against us, they could have looked to counter that like they did in the first 3 quarters, but they seemed to have no answer for the way we were doing that running and attacking. Now, surely you'd look at yourselves after that game and say, well, fuck, if we can do that for 25 minutes, why aren't we doing it for 100? And then take that into next week. But it just seems to be this repetitive pattern of failing to turn up, and then all of a sudden you have these bursts, but it's always a little bit too much, too little, too late. I don't understand what changes in their mindset to say, well, suddenly what are we embarrassed by what we just turned out? I wonder honestly too whether some of all the background stuff and the changes, it hasn't been a great year for Collingwood. There's no two ways about it, whether that's weighing on some of the players' heads as well, or whether they think they're impervious to it. I don't know. I think, when change is coming, you're going to have a new coach and all that sort of stuff. Surely you'd be looking at yourself thinking, Jesus, this is the end of my career. Am I good enough? Am I going to be good enough to stay on? Will I be traded out? Wouldn't that sort of motivate you to sort of start selling your own personal wares, but hopefully inside of a team attacking structure? I think that's the problem, though. I think, it's these players are caught in two minds. It's like, all right, I want to do this, but if the team ethos is this, then I can't be in my natural game, and I'm going to show myself to be disobedient. So I think they're actually conflicted. If you want to show your best, but you're also trying to play the role. I mean, and that's a big thing at Collingwood. Collingwood, their Copeland Trophy is based on, they get votes on how well they filled the role that was assigned to them. So I think at times they're just conflicted. It's like, if it was me, I'd be running straight, but the team role is I need to go sideways. So I'm trying to do the team thing, even though it doesn't make me look good. And that's part of, like, I think, is their natural instincts have just been blunted to,
definitely,
such a great extent that something has happened. And, whether that's the 2018 grand final loss or whether the club's response to that, in terms of strategically, where they thought, well, we need to learn to control the game more. And then now they've just overly compensated and they can't get out of it or whatever. Something's happened there. The players need to be encouraged to, look, just go for it. Unless you just totally do something moronic, like, try and run the length of the ground, we're not going to drop you. Go for it. Try and create the game. If you lose it, I've been a critic of Crisp, and he's actually done that the last few weeks, which I like. I mean, he's been caught several times, but it's like, well, at least he's trying to get something happening. I've also been a critic of Noble, but I mean, Noble, he goes for these really ambitious kicks, but it's like, okay, at least he's trying to make something happen. And that's I think, a really important thing. It's just, I think what happens also to an extent with Collingwood is there's several key components, and if they're not firing, then the whole club doesn't fire or the whole team doesn't fire. But if you can get those key components to start running, then that has a domino effect and others start running around them, and it just then all starts falling into place and that system starts working. But the problem is getting those handful to do what they're able to do. And at the moment, I think they just get shut down a little bit too easily and the system doesn't help them. So it's very hard to polarize into something effective and constructive.
Yeah. No, I think there's certainly there's going to be a need to bring some stability into that aspect of the club. But not necessarily the board or anything like that give two fucks about. But there needs to be some stability and to buy into something that invigorates them. As a game style or an identity or what, I don't know. But at the moment, it's just lacking. And I'm not expecting that Harvey was going to perform a miracle there and fix anything as well. I mean, you're probably going to see a lot of this haphazard stuff for the rest of the year, and then hopefully, once things solidify with the coach change, that you can then build anew and start striving forward again.
We've said this all the time, though. I mean, I hate losing, but, if I see they're doing something where they're trying to build a constructive, dynamic game plan, I'll be like, okay, I'll weather that while you get all the pieces in place. But if you're just losing, playing that shit-dreary shit and kicking 1 goal for 3 quarters and all that, then it's like, well, fuck you. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah. No, that's just not acceptable.
And I'd rather you got hammered by 10 goals trying to, play this dynamic game plan rather than just play this stodgy game plan and minimize the losses to 3-4 goals, the respectable on paper losses. It's like, no, I'd rather you gambled big and failed rather than you gambled conservatively and just still failed, but built nothing out of it. So your final tip?
Yep. We'll win by 28 points.
Cool. I'll tip us by 11 points.
I think we're going to show the entire competition how much of a pretender Richmond's been over the last 6 years.
Just got lucky in 3 grand finals. Bastards.
That's it. But at least we stopped them. We stopped them, though, Sly. That was important. We stopped them.
Don't go there even as a joke. We didn't stop them doing anything.
They would have won 48 flags in a row if it wasn't for us.
Well, if you're going to start assigning that sort of importance to our victories, geez, well, I guess we stopped Brisbane in 2004 by tiring them out in the 2 grand finals prior.
Yeah, we did. It's a documented fact.
Yeah.
We should have a statue up celebrating all this.
Oh, maybe Jeff Brown. Hang on. Jeff Brown has something to say on that. Jeff, what do you got to say about that?
On the phone?
He's done it again, Jeff. Well done, Jeff.
Yes. Incredible. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for calling back and proving that you can labour a single gag one time too many.
Yep. Anyway, that's it from us. Subscribe. We should be back at the normal time next week.
Yeah, we'll be back on deck Monday. I'll be back from Siberia. I'm taking an Aeroflot flight home soon, so it should be an absolute beauty. I don't have to quarantine at your house for 14 days, do I? If I do, you should have a lot of beer ready.
I do have a lot of beer ready.
All right, let's make it 18 days.
Till next week. Later.
All right, see ya.